What is up, guys? My name is Sparky Midori, otherwise known as the Prince of Darkus, and the last time you saw this box, I was busy giving you guys a showcase, and those of you who watched the video will know this is my personal deck box. Inside is 3 decks that I personally love to use whenever I go out into a game shop or to brawl anyone. It gives me a great feeling of power, and inside this box is 3 decks. 3 decks I am personally really proud of because I have to make do with what I have, what budget I have, and that budget's a little bigger now since I have a job and I have to start acting like a normal person, so I have to get this video recorded and then go to sleep to go to work tomorrow to earn the money to make more videos. So, with that out of the way, let me introduce you to the deck that we're going to be diving into for today's video. This Ventus deck. Oh yeah, also the eagle-eye viewers among you will notice something different in this box. I'll let the comments figure out what it is. But we're going to go over this Ventus deck because it is by far my favorite out of all these decks. I mean, yes, my name is Prince of Darkus, but also a win is a win, a good deck is a good deck, and I've used this one more since the last time you guys saw me. And this deck has won majority of the fights. I think it's only lost 1 or 2 of the battles that I've been in, and that is awesome for me. I'll explain this deck in a minute. Let me just get it out of the box. So, dear viewers, what Bakugan do I use in these decks, you might ask? Well, let me start off to the Bakugan that helps make this deck work so well, and that is my Ventus Mansinoid Ultra. Don't worry, he suffered a little bit of battle damage. For some reason, when I was practice rolling him, he kind of borked. And it's sad that he can't flip properly anymore, but apparently it's still game legal because some Bakugan don't close or open properly. So I can still roll him, but because he doesn't flip all the way, he sometimes just does a little boop and picks up 2 cores by mistake, which is awesome for me. But he is the big boy in this whole thing. He is a base B stat of 600, 1 damage. Following that is another supporter for this deck, and that is my core Ventus Trox. Trox comes in at a whopping, I forget how much B, 500 B and 1 attack, I believe. Let me just double check the cards here. Yes, 500 B and 1 attack. And then to top this all off, a Bakugan that helps use the cores that both these Bakugan provide is my core Ventus Dragonoid, which has a B stat at 200. I just double check that to make sure. And he's got an attack stat of 4. But his card effect does allow him to get an additional 400 B when he grabs a Helix core. And as you can see by the Bakugan I have in this deck, I can have a total of 4 Helix cores, which gives Drago an optimal opportunity to get that extra B boost, plus I can set some traps up for my opponent. So let's go into the cores I got. So, a core I have to support the Bakugan I have in my deck is a Helix of plus 300 plus 3, which is just general good all around, because no matter which Bakugan gets it, they will always get a really good increase. Trox goes straight up to 800, Mansinoid will go up to 900, Drago over here will go up to 900 because of his card additional effect, plus they all get 3 attack, which is good. I have the rest of the Helix here are trap, or semi-trap. I have one that's plus 500 minus 1. Now yes, if Mansinoid or Trox land on this core early game, that can spell bad news bears. But my strategy with this deck will be explained in a moment on how I avoid this. But the plus 500 B minus 1 still works because it will always make sure I win the fight, or hopefully win the fight, to then play any cards to up my damage. Drago, he's fine with this. He'll still have 3 damage and not 4, but he will still have a very beefy B stat because of his 200 plus 500, 700 plus a 400, 1100 early game in the first roll if he lands on this. I've got another one of those, plus 500 minus 1, same case scenario, and I've got one here for minus 100 plus 4. Now this can be good either way for both me or if my opponent lands on it, because Trox and Mansinoid, I don't mind if they get minus 100 early game, because 500, 600, it's good early game, I think, with what I have and what I can manage. with my budget. Be in mind, I'm still working with a channel on a budget. Whew. So Mansonoid will just go down to 500, Darkus will only go down to 400, which is still a okay base stat to work with in the early game, but they'll get that additional +4 damage if that be the case. And the other 2 cores I have because of the cards is a Magic Shield +650 to make up for any rounds I may lose because of the minus damage or minus B cores I have or that my opponent might have. If they land on it, well then I'm just blowing it up. The other one I have is just a Green Fist, the best one I got to work in this situation, +150 +2. Now, let me get to the cards. So, what cards do I have in this deck? Well, unfortunately, I have a very limited amount of Evos, but the Evos I have work, and they work well with this deck. See, because this deck relies on a slow beginning, starting to build up, and get as many energy as I can. Not as many, as much energy as I can. Because I've tested this deck, and once I start building up past like 5 energy, or even just 4, this deck is a snowball going down a hill, and it is not stopping anytime soon. Allow me to elaborate. So I only have 3 Evos in this whole deck because I only have 3 cards for them. On the top we have Titan Trox. Now Titan Trox's ability is a victor skill. That means if I win, I get to do the effect. And the effect is to energize the top 2 cards that are in my deck uncharged. Now that'll help me in the next turn, but it helps give me more energy because, as you know, Ventus is really good with building up energy. And I'll explain why I need so much energy once I get to the 3rd Evo card here. The other Evo I have here is Diamond Trox. It is not as good as Titan Trox. It's cheaper, lower B power, but it still has a victor skill that lets me energize a card, just 1 card, not 2 cards, just 1 card, uncharged to build to my energy. And the big boy of this whole deck, Hyper Mantonoid Ultra. At 4 cost, if I were to play my cards right and I take damage and use a flip card to get another energy, which I'll show you guys in a bit, I can activate this Evo card at best in the 3rd turn, or maybe even the 2nd turn if I lose a few. But once this card is out, I know my enemy is screwed, because Mantonoid Ultra has a card effect that states this gets +1 attack for each energy card you have in play. And I've asked on Discord if this means cards charged or cards uncharged or cards in general. And every response was cards in general. So if I have 5 or even just 4, let's say I was dealing with 4 energy, which is how much you need to evolve Mantonoid in the first place, I will have 5 damage off the bat because of his base 1 plus the 4 I have on top of that. And this just keeps building the more energies I have. Now, keep this in mind, Hyper Mantonoid being the big boy of this deck and how he operates. So, action cards. I have Invigoration Blast. I have 2 of them, they're at 5 cost, and what it does is it gives me +1 damage for each energy card I have. So if I played this, because it needs 5 energy to play, if I played this at the same time Mantonoid's on the field and he wins, this will give me 5 damage from this card because of its effect, plus Mantonoid's 1 on his base stat card, plus an additional 5 because of his Evo's card effect, bringing the total damage of this entire thing up to 11. Because 5 from this, 1 from Mantonoid, bringing it to 6, plus the other 5 from his card effect, 11 from 1 Bakugan. And I have 2 of them. So I can play that card more than once later on in the game. I have some other stuff here that helps take advantage of my amount of energy cards, like Razor Claws. I have 3 Razor Claws because they're cheap to play, and what they do is it gives me +2 damage. But if I have a turbo going, which means if I have more energies in play, then this card effect happens. It gives me +7 instead. And this just helps build onto my more energy, bigger damage strategy that I'm going with. Because these Bakugan are at a decently high B stat, I don't need to rely so much on increasing B, but that is one flaw with this deck that I personally can see, because I know this deck isn't perfect. It's just the best I have right now. The flaw that I see, like I said, is that it doesn't have a lot of B boost, but I have something to compensate for that once I get further in. The other card I have here is Shock and Awe. This is one of the cards that I have to help compensate for my lack of B boosting. Shock and Awe gives me, gives one Bakugan +4 damage, and then minuses 300 from another Bakugan. So I can use this two ways. I can increase my own attack while lowering my enemy's B by 300. And I have 3 of these cards, and they're at 4 cost, medium range low, but if you have a Ventus deck that builds up energy, I can play like 3 of those. I can play all 3. I have, and I've done it before, and I love it. Okay, I haven't done it before, the same thing. Okay, this one, really proud that I've got these 2 cards and they're in this deck. Nature's Power. Cheaper than Shock and Awe and way better. At 1 cost, I can give a non-Ventus Bakugan -500 B. 2 of them, I can minus 1000 B from an opponent Bakugan. You see where this is going? With more energy, I can play more of these to decrease my enemy's B stat. Plus, with all the extra damage I'm doing, I can possibly wipe out their whole deck, or half a deck at least, in one go. Assuming they have little to no stop non-blank cards in their deck. Sonic Howl, I have 1 of these, +4, and if it's a Ventus Bakugan that I'm using, I can energize this card uncharged. And since this is Mono Ventus, once I play this, that's a free energy card. So, for example, like I said with Mantanoid, if I play this in the 3rd turn, I can put that as an energy, draw, and then maybe put another energy to 5, and then I'll evolve Mantanoid, have another 1 energy to play something like Nature's Power or something else, and Mantanoid will still be going strong with his Evo. But again, like I said, this deck isn't perfect, and there's a lot of places it can go wrong, but so far it hasn't gone wrong, which I love. The next card, Cocoon Shield. Now I only have 1 of these, which is sad, because it's super good. At 3 cost, it makes a Bakugan's B 1000, regardless of where it's sitting, which is helpful for a Bakugan like Drago, which has a base stat of 200, and if he, let's say, connects with a core and doesn't pick it up, he's stuck at 200. So then I would be able to play Cocoon Shield to bring him up to 1000, and play whatever cards I can from there to lower my enemy's B stat. Recycling Boost. That's another really good card for this deck, because I'm going to have a bunch of energy cards, and I've used this deck before, like I said, a bunch of times, and I've gotten up to 12 energy, which is amazing. So this, in theory, can be played a bunch of times, because its card effect says, Turbo, if you have the most energy cards in play, return this to your hand. And as far as I'm aware, that means I can spam this card until all my energy is depleted, and I still have more than the enemy, so I could, in theory, if I had 12 energy like I did before, or even just 9, I could play this 3 times and minus my enemy's B by 600 if I had the 9 energy in play. So you can see what I mean when I said I had ways to compensate my lack of B boost. Piercing Scream, another really good card for just 2 energy, and Ventus is going to give you a lot of energy, minus 400 B from your opponent. If I can play both of these, minuses 800 right away. Turn to energy, I have 2 of these. For just 2 costs, I can energize this uncharged. Again, if I played this in the 2nd turn, and if I have 1, then that means I'll have 3 energy by the time I go into the next round. And then the next round, I'll energize again. Because remember, that's how it works. I play. Sorry, my words are all over the place. What I mean is, in the 2nd turn, I would pay to play this card. It's in my energy. Come the next roll we have to do, I will then place another energy down. I'll have 4 energy by the 3rd turn, and then Mantanoid Hyper Ultra is out. So I've got 2 of those, and then of course I've got the standard 3 Stop Non-Ventus Repel Outsiders. You should really have those in any deck. If you have like a deck with 3 different Bakugan attributes, I recommend putting those Cease Outsiders, Repel Outsiders, Stop Outsiders cards, because it works with literally 5 factions, 6 if you include, 5 other factions, excluding the card that's based on. And then Ventus Power, I have 2 of these, and it just lets me draw a card after I stop the enemy's attack. Says Stop Non-Ventus. But what that lets me do is it lets me draw another card, which gives me another opportunity to energize an additional card, or do something where I get to draw like turns energy, and then I can play that to, get more energy for the next turn and just stack it up on top. Trox's Moxie. This is a card I didn't really like at first, but I've learned to build it into this deck late game. Because it lets me energize 2 cards uncharged, including this one, which means I don't have to sacrifice 2 possibly action cards. I can only sacrifice 1 possible action card. Recycling. It's Nature's Assimilation. Nature's Assimilation. Good card for B-Boost. Only at 2 cost. I have 3 of them. It lets me energize it uncharged while I'm flipping, taking damage. I can play that early game or late game. It still gives me more beat to go into the next round to use Mantanoid to his best ability. And then of course I've got Repel Ventus, just because it stops. The other cards I have here for It was Repel Outsiders. Only stops anything that's non-Ventus, but this includes Ventus, and I just put 2 there to be safe. And of course I've got 2 of other Repel other cards, like this one, Repel Destruction. At 1 cost, it just stops any Darkus or Pyrus Bakugan. The more it can stop, the better, in my opinion. And of course I've got Repel Pyrus for 0 cost. One's a Hex Hollow, stops Pyrus. Oh no, I've got 3 of them. Sorry, my bad. And then of course I've got Repel Darkus. Also, one's a Hex Hollow for 0 cost, stops all Darkus Bakugan. And then last one, I wanted to put in, but I wasn't sure. But I thought, you know what? I'm gonna be stacking a bunch of energy regardless, so why not put this in? Oh, also, you can see I have a. Why is my nose so itchy? You can see I have a lot of flips here because I need energy. The more flips, the better, because the more energy I have, the more chance of when I actually win the battle with all my decreased B cards from my opponent, the more damage I do because of so much energy I have. Now, I have other cards that can make this better, but I'm going to build them into this deck later on. But I wanted to showcase this deck now before I edit it to show you the progress it's going to make later on. So anyway, the last deck in this card is the hero card, A. A is a really expensive card. It's at 6, so it's late game, but with this deck it can be pretty early game or mid game. Its turbo effect, which will be activated immediately thanks to this deck. Turbo. If you have the most energy cards in play, your attacks have additional 4 damage. So literally that just increases my damage once again. And let's say I got 6 energies only, and I had A in the mix there, and I had Invigoration Blast, which is 5. So if I had already played A and I'm in the next roll here, and I'm using Invigoration Blast, and I have Hyper Mantanoid Ultra out, and he wins, let's say that happens, I can possibly end up with a total of, I can end up with 14 damage in one go just with playing 1 additional card on top of this Evo that was played already, and A in the works, because of just what Hyper Mantanoid Ultra does, which I love. But yeah, this deck, like I said, not perfect. In my opinion, for this new way to play Bakugan, no deck is perfect. There's always room for improvement, and there's always room to mess up. Because with a 40 card deck, your opponent can easily take down your deck or your Bakugan with one specific card they might have, or just they might roll better, and you don't get to land any Bakugan to actually play any cards you might have. A lot of different factors work into this new way to play the game, and I love it. That just makes it so much more fair, so much more fun, so much more exciting to play, and I love it. So yeah, tell me, what do you guys think of this deck now that I've explained it and how it works with the energy build-up to use Mantinoid and Trox to build the energy for Mantinoid to use in this Drago as a support for traps and stuff? Oh, one more thing. Valentine's Day is coming up, and I hope you all have a lovely day, regardless if you are spending it with someone or alone. I hope you have an awesome day. Valentine's Day is also my birthday, and one thing I really want to try and do before that happens, or hopefully by that time that happens, is reach 100 subscribers. And I know it's really cutting it close to the date and the deadline right now, but if you guys could please maybe support to try and get this channel to 100 subscribers before then, or around that time, that would be amazing. And I would thank you all so much if you could help me do that. And if I do reach 100 subscribers, I'll be doing a collection showcase video. That's every Bakugan I have, from Battle Brawlers, New Vestroya, Gandalian Invaders, Mechanium Surge, Battle Planet, all of it. But that will only happen when I reach 100 subscribers. So, thank you all so much for this video. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all next week. Bye bye.